right, so ultrasonic instrumentation. We're just going to look at some basic rules for ultrasonic instrumentation. One of those basic rules is the angulation of the instrument against the tooth. So if the lateral side of this insert is against the tooth, that means I'm at a 0 degrees if it's leaning directly onto the tooth. If I bring it away from the tooth, I'm changing that angle. So the highest degree that I want to be off the tooth when I'm using the ultrasonic insert is 15 degrees. If I were to go 90 degrees, that would mean that the point of the ultrasonic insert would be in direct contact with that tooth. This would be something that would cause damage to the tooth structure and a lot of sensitivity to the client. It could even damage the internal pulp of the tooth. So one rule with ultrasonic instrumentation is to never allow the point to directly contact the tooth. There's a large amount of energy that's emitted through the point of this instrument. So I can open up my angle of the lateral side to about 15 degrees max, so between 0 and 15 degrees. The working ends of my ultrasonic are the lateral sides, the back, and to some extent the face. We never use the tip. Most common working ends are the lateral sides and the back. The stroke for the ultrasonic is very different than that of scaling. Our scaling stroke is very methodical, oblique across the buccal, vertical interproximal. With the ultrasonic, the stroke is very multi-directional, and the purpose is to keep that instrument moving at all times. It's emitting a lot of energy as it vibrates, and that vibration is what helps release those hard calculus deposits. But if we let it sit onto the tooth, all of that energy is then going to be emitted into the tooth. So we want to keep it moving at all times, and we're going to keep it moving in what they call almost a coloring stroke or a multi-directional stroke. So we want to keep that instrument moving and adapted. So we want to adapt it into the interproximal, but we don't want to sit idle. We want it to keep moving at all times. Another important concept is aerosol management when we are working with the ultrasonic. So we know we need to be in an aerosol generating room when we're using ultrasonics, and we also need to use high volume evacuation. So I'm going to get you guys to review the video on the positioning of the HVE. But very important to remember, when we're positioning the HVE and it's held in our non-dominant hand while we're working, it's positioned very close to the area that we're working on. And the purpose is that it will suck in all of those aerosols to reduce the amount that's emitted into our working environment. So the lumen, the end of the instrument of the suction, is positioned towards the teeth, maybe one tooth away, and slightly above the occlusal surface or incisal surface. So while I'm activating, and I can use my HVE for retraction as well. If I was doing the lingual side, same thing, just slightly posterior to where I'm working, in order to make sure that all of those aerosols are traveling up into my high volume evacuation.